As of today, we are about 10.5 years since the last original Donkey Kong. That is crazy to think about. And that last Donkey Kong game being Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. And that game came out in 2014. Yeah, that's a long time. So of course, fans have been eager for a new Donkey Kong game, and we did get one kind of back in 2018 on the Switch, which was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze again. So yeah, 2 Tropical Freezes now. But everybody's like, come on Nintendo, we gotta have something new coming, right? Years would go on, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and even this year being 2024, we were in high hopes for something Donkey Kong related. And it seemed like it was now the time, more than ever, for finally a Donkey Kong game, a new Donkey Kong game, on Switch. Well, the June Nintendo Direct just aired, and there was Donkey Kong. Kind of. Nintendo revealed Donkey Kong Country Returns HD this time around for Nintendo Switch, which was kind of a shot in the chest for me, at least. I was kind of like, you know, I was like shocked because listen, Donkey Kong Country Returns is a really good game. In fact, both Returns and Tropical Freeze are some elite Donkey Kong platformers. I still think Tropical Freeze is miles better, but yes, Returns is really good as well, and I still had great memories with that game. But it's so weird that this is the game Nintendo wants for Donkey Kong right now. I mean, considering the fact also that Donkey Kong Country Returns got remade already on the 3DS, it's weird to see it again. I mean, technically, again. So since 2010, which was 14 years ago, we've had 2 Donkey Kong games in 14 years. But technically, we've had 5. But they're the same 2 games, if you catch my drift. How is this happening? I've been saying for a while, I feel like Nintendo's picking the weirdest games to bring back that don't necessarily need it. I mean, I am glad that we can actually play this game on the Switch now. Don't get me wrong, I never did get the 3DS version, so going from the Wii to this is going to be a lot of fun, and I will definitely play it again and probably even play it day one. But the problem is, there's so many better options in my opinion to pick a game in the past to bring back, or at least a game that's just hard to find. Don't get me wrong, Nintendo has been doing amazing with some things that fans have been asking for, like finally a game where we play as Princess Zelda, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, Mario RPG, Mario and Luigi coming back. Like, we can't just sit and complain. Nintendo has been doing great, but when it comes to some of these remakes or remasters or even just ports, it seems like they're bringing back a lot of ones that people just don't care about. Like Luigi's Mansion 2, yeah, it was only on the 3DS, but it was also Luigi's Mansion that a lot of people did not like. It's one that a lot of people thought strayed away from what made Luigi's Mansion. Nintendo fixed it with Luigi's Mansion 3, but then for some reason, they're going back to Luigi's Mansion 2. Like, why? Like I said, none of these games are hard to find or like extremely overpriced, like a classic GameCube game or even a classic DS game. This is a Wii and a 3DS game. Why in the world is this coming back to Switch? And I feel like this game probably should have already been on Switch as a collection pack with Tropical Freeze when Tropical Freeze was just literally ported over. And I feel like that's maybe the problem. It's just like Tropical Freeze came over with like no new content and just Funky Kong. So that would have been a perfect opportunity to have Returns in there as well. And you could have had 2 of the modern Donkey Kong Country games in one collection pack. But Nintendo didn't want to do that because they're going to make you charge full price for a second game. That's how Nintendo is. And if you brought the 2 before, it's going to be your 3rd time buying this game. It's like, why? You know when it's time for a game to come back from the past? It's when you have trailers that look like this. Like so outdated. These are old GameCube games, old Wii games that just have not been touched since the Wii or since the GameCube, and they need to be brought back. Switch has such a huge install base, so this is where you actually get some of those old games to really see if people actually care about them. This is when you bring back a game like F-Zero. This is when you bring back Kid Icarus Uprising that has only been on the 3DS. This is when you bring back games that are just either hard to find or either need to come back in a second light. So yeah, it is kind of weird to me that still to this day, there's some games like Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm gonna keep saying this, I'm sorry. It's just one of those games that is so good and it's so completely underrated because no one can play it because it's stuck on the 3DS. And it's just like, it could become a huge series that people actually love if Nintendo just gave it the time of day. My goal here is not to just bash on Donkey Kong, because as a huge Donkey Kong fan, I've been really hoping for something new, whether it be a 2D game or a 3D game, and to just every single time we get a new announcement for Donkey Kong, it just keeps feeling like it's the same stuff we've been playing for years. it's time for a new Donkey Kong game. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to bring up the fact that maybe Nintendo is just waiting for the next console, and that could be the case, okay? I understand that, but there still should have been a new Donkey Kong game on the Switch. There's no way we went through one of Nintendo's biggest consoles of all time and didn't get a single original Donkey Kong game. Another huge reason I think this actually happened is because of Nintendo's theme park. Yes, I'm talking about Nintendo World, where they just added the Donkey Kong expansion. I feel like it was because of that, because the Donkey Kong expansion is literally based off of Donkey Kong Country Returns. From the minecart design, the enemies, everything around the area is based off of Donkey Kong Country Returns. And of course, I feel like Nintendo's whole purpose of doing this was to tie in to the theme park, and maybe even a future movie coming up soon. But yeah, I hate that. I hate that so much when I feel like a new game would do so much better. Just having a huge brand new 2D or 3D Donkey Kong would drive so many sales. But I think it's clear that they just saw this as a quick and easy, cheap way to get a new game out and to also have something to fill the month of January next year. And yeah, just to have something that they've already done. It's just quick, easy, and cheap, like I said before, and it just worked out for them probably that way. It goes further than just this, because I've seen people on Twitter even point out some, very clear differences on how the games look, where the Switch version looks good, but there are some things that are different in a weird way. For instance, some areas don't have the same lighting anymore, and some areas don't have the same textures or shadows, where it looks slightly off, or maybe even at some times slightly worse than the other two versions. So yeah, that's what's just so strange to me, how it just feels like a lesser port that's coming over. Just to prove that I'm not just saying things, let me show you what I mean, where look at the shadows on the ground of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong from the Wii to the Switch, where the Switch just looks like two circles underneath them. It's not even really shadows. Version on the Wii, you can see the light shining through the trees, but on the Switch, there's like no lighting coming through the trees, like hardly at all, and it's just kind of dark and gloomy, and it just looks different. You have the Stormy Cove area with the giant kraken, and the lighting and textures on the octopus just looks so weird. He's like all bright and shiny now, where he used to be all dark based on the background, and there's like things removed as well. Like look at the bubbles right beside the octopus. They're completely gone, where you can see like he breathes underneath the water. The problem with stuff like this is these games are on a Nintendo Switch, modern hardware, and you have other games in the same exact series also on the same hardware that look miles better. Tropical Freeze looks way better than this game. It's very evident. You can say the same thing. It's night and day between Luigi's Mansion 3 and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So yeah, having these all on the same console, they should all look the same in quality, but they don't. And the problem is they charge full price for these games. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm getting off track. I just really want to hope and believe that Nintendo is working on a big new Donkey Kong game and we're going to see it very soon. I hope so. Because I also have a pit in my stomach right now thinking of another 7 years or something like that until the next Donkey Kong game. And then it's not even going to be a new one. It's going to be like a remake of the old Donkey Kong Countries or something. Like, please, just make a new game. I'm not gonna lie, this kind of gives me hope for the next Donkey Kong, because since this one is 2D, I'm kind of hoping that the next game is going to be 3D now. You know, we've had two 2D Donkey Kong games on Switch. Maybe they'll pull a Kirby in the Forgotten Land and the next Donkey Kong game could be an amazing 3D platformer, and we're all gonna love it and forget the days of missing Donkey Kong. I hope. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. I'm hoping Switch 2 has a surprise for us, but let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Are you excited for Donkey Kong Country Returns? Are you confused like me, but still excited for the game? Or are you just mad altogether and hate Donkey Kong Country Returns for some reason and just mad at Nintendo for not making a new Donkey Kong? Let me know how you're feeling, and thank you guys so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.